Julie in Birmingham has contacted us, so stay with us, Michael, if you would. Morning, Julie.
Good morning.
Have things moved on for you?
In terms of our lives, the way we live our lives after losing our sister in the Birmingham Pub Bombings, yes, we live our lives. Maxine would have wanted us to do that. But in the process of us moving on, obviously we are more than happy as a family that peace has kind of come about. I mean, it hasn't been the panacea that all the governments hoped it would be, because there's still some minor factions over there who are still creating problems. Nevertheless, we are in the process of fighting to bring the perpetrators who murdered our sister and 20 other innocent souls to justice. We've been fighting for years, but we now have a fantastic campaign group called Justice for the 21. And when I heard on Friday that the Queen was going to be shaking the hand of Martin McGuinness, I wrote her a letter, and I'm asking her she's the head of state, runs the highest office in the country, to inquire of Mr McGuinness if he can source a formal admission of responsibility from the IRA to clarify that if they did it, to clarify this, and to state who did it, and to hand over their names to the West Midlands Police Authority. We've been fighting to try and get justice for our sister for years and years and years. And
tell us a bit more about Maxine, your sister. How old was she at the time of those pub bombings? Where was she? What was she doing?
She was 18. She was in a pub. She'd only gone to the pub because she'd not long returned from France, because she was studying for her A-levels and she wanted to improve her French, and she went grape picking. I still actually have a bottle of the champagne she brought back with her. We can't bring ourselves to open it because it's something that she produced or helped to produce, and she only went because they were having a housewarming party the following night, and because they weren't on the phone, she was going to be meeting all her friends in the tavern in the town that evening, and she was killed with the youngest girl the youngest person who was killed that night, which is Jane. She was only 17 and Maxine was 18. And we only recently found out that my mother, who identified her, was shown 2 other bodies first, who were so seriously injured, couldn't tell what gender they were. And Maxine could only be identified by her fingernails. Knowing this, just knowing that my mother goes to bed every night with that memory in her head must be the most horrendous, awful. I mean, these are things that nightmares are made of. I truly believe we are living in a government conspiracy. The government are blocking us to try and get justice for the 21 innocent souls who were murdered. We've written to so many MPs. In fact, we've had more response and more respect from Northern Ireland MPs than some of our own. I have to say, though, that Clive Efford, a London MP, my own MP, Khalid Mahmood, has been extremely supportive. So many other MPs have been so supportive. Even the Archbishop of York has sent the most fantastic letter to the Home Secretary on our behalf. We mean business, and we're not going away with this campaign. How can peace come about when there's still so many unanswered questions?
Well, I'd like to put that to Peter Haynes. Stay with us, Julie. Peter.
Julie, I completely understand, though I can't imagine what it must be like for you, but I can understand your agony and the anguish your mother and the whole family's been through over this terrible tragedy for Maxine and all of you. And it's very difficult when you are, say, in my case, when I was negotiating the settlement as Secretary of State, you're dealing with people who have been involved on all sides in very bad things, and Maxine was a victim of that, and you all are. The thing is that you need to make sure that we keep the process of peacemaking and reconciliation going, and you've welcomed that. As to the conspiracy, I mean, the Chief Constable continues to investigate past cases like this, and it's very difficult.
Hold on, which Chief Constable?
Well, the Chief Constable in Northern Ireland, whoever that is, at any one time, there are a whole lot of past cases.
That may be so, but I've actually written to the Historical Inquiries team, and they've come back and says, believe it or not, that we are out of their geographical remit. I thought Northern Ireland was part of Great Britain, so how can we fall outside of their remit? So what you're saying is actually incorrect. That they might be inquiring as to it, but they've told me personally that they can't help me because it didn't happen in Northern Ireland. And also, I've written to our own Chief Constable, Chris Sims, on 5 occasions, and he hasn't responded to any of my letters. He's got some of his peons to respond instead. Ian Paisley Jr. has written a letter direct to David Cameron, the Prime Minister, to highlight our campaign and for him to be seen to be doing the right thing on our behalf as well. Because we don't want anybody to go through what we went through. What we went through, I wouldn't wish on anybody.
No, I understand that.
Murder. No one has the right to kill another person, no matter where you are, or for whatever purpose. So please don't ever think that we're not looking to stir up trouble. We've tried to keep it as apolitical as we possibly can, but we come up against brick walls all the time.
I think you've been very clear about that, Julie, and I respect that enormously, particularly what you've been through, and I can't imagine the frustration you're going through. It is, I have some experience of this in the South African situation, where terrible atrocities were committed overwhelmingly by the white minority against the black majority.
But we're talking about our country. These are innocent people who are murdered on mainland Britain, and our politicians, the likes of David Cameron and such, do not care about the people they're meant to care and support.
Julie, can I ask you this? Do you think there is more chance of you getting justice if the Queen shakes hands with Martin McGuinness and reinforces that relationship?
I certainly hope so. I truly, certainly hope so. I mean, I wouldn't pass comment on what the Queen is about to do, because I think that's unfair, because she will be directed by the Privy Council, and as such, because she's the head of state, she serves the country so well, clearly, and she's obviously trying to do, which is what Jerry Adams has recently been heard saying, to do the right thing. So if Jerry Adams is saying on behalf of Sinn Féin, it's time to do the right thing, then please can somebody ask them to do the right thing and clarify if they did bomb Birmingham, which apparently in the World in Action programme in the 90s said that they did. Sinn Féin, one of the head Sinn Féin guys said that they did. If they did, can they please do the right thing? I implore them from the bottom of my heart to please tell us who did it and to pass over their names to the Westminster Police Authority so that justice can finally be seen to be done.
Julie, thank you very much. Thanks for contacting us.